guys, welcome back. This is for lesson 117. This is the last lesson in the geometry chapter, and a lot of what we're doing today is really just a continuation of lesson 116. We're going to start with the volume of cylinders and look at shapes that have circles as the bases. Okay, so we'll get to this. Right now we're going to look at a cylinder. You like that? It's pretty, isn't it? All right, so a cylinder, this one will be dotted, and this tells us the altitude is 17 centimeters and the radius of the bases is 6 centimeters. So like I said in the last lesson, the volume, finding volume of this shape is the same formula. Okay, so the volume is the area of the base times the altitude. The area of the base times the altitude. It was the same formula we used when we talked about rectangular prisms and triangular prisms. So for a cylinder, it's the same thing. So the shape of a base is a circle. So the formula for an area of a circle is what we plug in here. And we know the area, the formula for the area of a base is pi r squared. So to continue filling in for that, we know pi equals 3.14. The radius is 6, so it's going to be times 6 squared. That's how we're going to figure out the area of the base. The altitude is given right here. The altitude is 17. So we know that 6 squared, 6 times 6 is 36. So we're going to do, in our little handy dandy calculators, 36 times 3.14, and we get 113.04, and we're going to multiply that times the altitude, which is 17, and we get 1,921.68, and it's centimeters cubed. Remember, volume is cubed. And yes, that's a high number, but we're dealing in centimeters, which is a smaller unit of measure. So if we had little cubes that each side was only 1 centimeter long, we would be able to fill a lot inside of there for volume. So area of the base, formula for the area of a circle, plug in those numbers, times the altitude. And that's how we got that one there. And you'll see that on page 576. So now, while we're talking about cylinders, I want to show you this. A cylinder is just 2 circles. Those are the bases. Now, if you were to take this lateral area, remember the lateral area is the area of the side. If you were to cut it with scissors right here down the middle and open it up, you would get a rectangle. If you take this is flimsy construction paper, but if you take this and wrap it all the way around, see if I can get it to stay, my circle to stay without slipping. See how that's the side? It's not staying, but you get the picture. And it would make the cylinder, and you'd put the other circle on the bottom. So if I had cut that and opened it up for a cylinder, I would have 2 circles, the bases. Then the lateral side would look like a rectangle. Why do we need to know that? When we do the surface area. If you're asked to find the surface area of a cylinder, what you're going to do, 2 times what is the formula for the area of a circle. It is pi r squared. Okay? So, and we have 2 of them. We need the area of this circle and the area of this circle. So we're going to do 2 times the area of that. Then we need to add the area of the lateral side. We know the formula for the area of a rectangle is length times width. So it's going to be length times width. So first let's figure out the area of one circle. 2 times pi r squared, the radius squared, and we'll come back to that one. So we're going to do in here, we know 6 squared is just 6 times 6, which is 36, times 3.14 is 113. We did this in the last one. 113.04, but we have to do that times 2. 226.08. So now we know our surface area of the two bases. We're going to take that number and put it up here and come back to it. Now we have to figure out length times width of this rectangle. Well, the one side, it's given for us right here, 17. So we know we have 17 we'll use as our length. How do we figure out our width? Well, remember, when I took this paper, this one side of this rectangle, and I wrapped it around my circle, it completely covered the perimeter, the edge, and what's that word for the measure around the edge of a circle? Circumference. So we have to do the formula for a circumference of a circle to find out the width of our rectangle. So what's the formula for circumference? It is 2 pi r. So this is a lot of steps to find the surface area of a cylinder. You just have to take it one step at a time. So let's fill in. I've got 17 times 2 times pi times the radius, which is 6. So I'm going to do 2 times 6 is 12. And then I'll put in here 12 times pi, 3.14. And I get 37.68 times 17, 640.56. 640.56. That is the area of our lateral side. I have to add that to the area of the bases. So when we add these together, we get 866.64. The units were centimeters, and it's area, so it's squared. So finding the surface area of a cylinder requires a lot of steps, but you can do it. Okay? So that's all covered if you need to review that on pages 576, 578. Turn the page to page 578 and you will see a pyramid. So now we're going to do these fun things for pyramids. We're going to find the area of a pyramid and the surface area of a pyramid. And then we'll do the area of a cone, surface area of a cone, and then that will wrap up your geometry unit. The good thing is that the formula for the area of a pyramid and the formula for the area of a cone are the same. Remember, a cone is a circular base whose sides come up to a point. Okay? So the formula for the volume of both of these is 1/3 the area of the base times the altitude. 1/3 the area of the base times the altitude. So in this, our first example, we're going to do the volume of this pyramid. So we're going to look at 1/3 the area of the base. Well, if you look at this base, it is just a rectangle. And it tells us, it's actually a square. Each side is 15. So to find the area of this base, I'm just going to do, I have to bring that 1/3 down. 15 times 15. Well, I know that 3 goes into 15 5 times, so I can take that to 5 times 15. And I'm just going to do it to make sure. I know most of you can do this one in your heads. Think about a clock. 75. 5 sets of 15 minutes, so 75 minutes. So that comes to 75. So the area of our base is going to be 75 units. Well, now we have to do the altitude. The altitude, if you look in the picture, it's given to us. Now the altitude of a pyramid goes from the center point of the base up to the vertex. And they tell us that that is 18. So now we're going to do that times 18. 75 times 18 is 1,350. Now, we're finding volume. The unit of measure is inches, and because it's volume, it's cubed. While we're looking at volume, let's go ahead and just look at a cone. Let's just go ahead and look at a cone. The formula is the same. So, it tells us that the radius of this circle is 12, and it gives us the altitude. Again, the altitude is from the center point of the base up to the vertex, and it tells us that is 30 inches. So we have our formula for volume of a cone, 1/3 area of the base. What's the formula for the area of a circle? Pi r squared times the altitude, which we see here is 30. So let's fill this in. 1/3 times pi times the radius squared. The radius is 12 squared. That's going to be times the altitude. So let's go ahead and rewrite it. 1/3 times 3.14, 12 squared is 144. So let's plug that into our calculator. We're going to do 3.14. I'm going to do that. I'm going to multiply these two first. Times 144 equals 452.16. Now we have to multiply it times 1/3, which is the same as dividing by 3. So I'm going to divide it by 3, and I get 150.72. I'm going to multiply that times our altitude, which gives us 4,521.6. Our unit of measure is inches, and it's volume, so it's cubed. Okay, lots of steps, but you can do it. You just have to take your time and work out the steps. Hopefully, if I didn't run out of room, on your paper you'll continue to be able to be going down. So that's volume of a cone and a pyramid. Last thing we're going to do is surface area. Surface area, let's do a surface area of this rectangular pyramid. Remember, surface area means the outside. So first, we have to find the area of the base. This base is a square, 15 times 15. Oh, there it is. I covered it. So let's figure out the area of this base. 15 times 15. $225. So the base is 225. Now, this is a triangle. The formula for the area of a triangle is 1/2 the base times the height. Now remember again, it means the base as in the bottom line of the triangle. Now when we talk about the height, it's not talking about this. This is the altitude of the whole figure. It has to give you the height of the triangle. So if you look, it gives us the height of the triangle as 19.5, and it's actually called, I'm going to put a dotted line going from the vertex down to the side. It's actually called the slant height, And the slant height, they use a little cursive L to represent slant height because it's on a slant. It goes from the vertex slanted down to the baseline of just this lateral side triangle. But that's the height we need for the formula of the area of that triangle. So we have 1/2 the base of this triangle, which is 15, times the height of that triangle, which is this slant height of 19.5. So the way I do it first multiply 19.5 times 15, 292.5, and we're going to divide that by 2 to get 146.25. 146.25 is the area of one triangle. How many triangles do we have on this figure? How many lateral area triangles? We have this one, that's 1. We have this one, that's 2. We have this one, 3, and then that back one is 4. Now, thankfully on this figure, this side, this length, this base of this triangle is equal to that one. So I can just multiply this times 4. If this were different, I would have to do the area all over again for this triangle, but they're not, they're the same. So I'm going to take that times 4, which gets me 585, and I just add that to the area of the base, and I get 810. The units of measure is inches, and it's squared because it's area. Okay, last one. Surface area of a cone. So if we look at this surface area of a cone, we have, again, the area of the base times or plus the area of the lateral sides. So surface area is going to be the area of the base plus the area of the lateral sides. So let's look at the area of the base first. It's a circle. The area of that base is a circle. We know the formula for area is pi r squared. Pi is 3.14. The radius is 12. 12 squared is 144. And I erased it so I don't remember what that value was. 144 times 3.14, 452.16. So that's the area of my base. Now we have to figure out the area of the lateral side. Well, in a cylinder, when we unwrapped that, it made a nice rectangle. That's not the case in a cone. Look at the top of page 581. When you open the top of page 581, if you were to cut open that cone, if you were to lay out, it has a point at the top like a triangle, but the bottom is curved. The bottom would be curved. This would be the part that would go around the circle. So to find this area, you have to do the slant height, which is the length of one of those sides, and it's given to us. 32.3 inches is the slant height. So the formula for the area of the lateral side is the slant height. Remember I told you they do a cursive L? Doesn't stand for length, stands for slant height. I probably should have stopped using that for length in the other ones. So slant height times, make sure I have this right, lateral area of a cone. This is a new formula. And I'll write it in the way they do. Pi r times the slant height. So this new formula, pi r slant height, that little L means slant height. That's how we find the area of this lateral side of a cone. So So we're going to do pi is 3.14 times the radius, which we see is 12, times the slant height, which is 32.3. Point. Gotta put my point in there. There it is. So let's get out our calculator. We have pi, which is 3.14, times the radius, which is 12, times the slant height, which is 32.3, and you get, make sure I've got it right, 1217.06. 1,217. It actually is 0.064, but we're just going to take it 2 decimal places. Now we have the area of the base, we have the area of the lateral side, we add those together, plus 452.16 to get a grand total of 1669. Put it up here. 1669.22, and the unit of measure is inches, and it's squared because it's area. So all of this is laid out in your lesson. So it's a lot of steps. Make sure your writing is neater than this. On your paper you can make it neater, and follow your steps. Your formulas are all in the chapter. So let's look at the examples. Are again just walking out the steps we went through, so I'm not going to do those right now. Let's just do the true or false, and if you have problems getting, if you have issues solving these problems, just please email me and I will help talk you through it in email. Number 1, the volume of a cylinder is equal to, that means the formula for the volume of a cylinder, the area of the base times the altitude. Volume of a cylinder, area of the base times altitude. That is true. That is true. Number 2, the volume of a pyramid is the area of the base times the altitude. And that is false. It is 1/3 the area of the base times the altitude. Okay, that wraps up our geometry lessons. Please go over and review these formulas. Make sure you understand them before you take your test. When you're finished this lesson, take Chapter 14 test and then scan it or take pictures and email it to me. You don't have to wait till Wednesday. As soon as you've taken your test, email it to me. I'll grade it and get it back to you. All right, have a good day.